When you get to play these outside competitions, what does that do for a team that has the newcomers that live in the portal and age of today? How is that different from when you were a player?
I think it brings a lot of different components to your team, that challenges that you haven't had yet. And the number one thing it definitely brings is being a teammate, because we're in practice and there's two teams and everyone plays, everyone hits, everyone pitches throughout the weekend. I think that's the biggest challenge it makes, because you come here as a baseball player, you come with expectations to play beyond this, right? And you get challenged real quick. And it's a fall. Like this, the lineup we put out tomorrow surely won't be the lineup, the first game of the season. So I think that for us is the biggest challenge, and about being a team and holding people accountable and doing things the right way. So that'll be number one for me. The second one is it's just nice to play someone in another uniform and go up against another team, and guys get sped up and kind of try to get that control. And with how our fall games have been, some of these guys tomorrow, this will be the biggest crowd they've ever played in front of. And I think that's important to get that type of experience and play, not only to prepare you for our atmosphere, but for other teams' atmosphere. So there's a lot of different things that these do. I wish we did them when I play. I wish we could do more, to be quite honest with you. Just with how the rosters are going, and it's going to be that stair step shrink. It's been a challenge, and talking to other coaches around the country, to play as many innings as you had before. I mean, last year in the fall I had 47, 48 guys. That's different, right? And it's all dictated on pitching. So I wish we get to a point, and sorry if I'm going just off the rails here, but I wish we get to a point where we could play like 4, 5, 6 of these. From a pitching standpoint, you could get more games and more, but all the experience is great. Anytime you can step on the field with your team in your uniform in this environment, which is the best environment in college baseball, even in the fall, it's really good for all the guys.
So what is the structure of the game going to be tomorrow, and how similar is that to the ones y'all played last year or even the years prior?
It'll be fairly similar. I've made probably 3 or 4 different lineups. Everything's earned, right? So like I make one, but we got practice today, and you needed to be able to do stuff the right way today, because there's a couple spots where you're not sure, and some of that will be predicated on how you perform today or how you get little things done today. But what you'll likely see is a group from 1 through 7-ish, and then another group 8 through 12, and then you'll see some guys play in both, just for sure numbers purposes. You'll see that. You'll see Nico Partita play the field and pitch, and you'll see Luke Billings play the field and pitch in whatever inning. But we want to make sure for those two specifically, they play the field, then they pitch, not pitch to the field. But everyone, you'll get a good dose of everyone on the team, some more than others, and depending on how that goes and how practice goes leading up to the following game, it may change a little bit.
Yeah, you mentioned a guy like Nico and Luke doing both. Just how do y'all go about that process of having them at 2 ways and just feeling out what the best path forward for them is?
The number one thing is their health. We have to keep them healthy. This is not travel or high school baseball anymore. These guys have to deal with a lot more things on their body. And so we've really, I feel like to this point, done a good job, because not only them and how we're recruiting, like I want 2-way players. It's all by design of kind of what I was saying with this roster shrinkage, having people that can do multiple things. So they do all their throwing with the pitchers, and they do obviously their defensive hitting with us. And if Nico and Luke threw the day before, Nico doesn't fire balls from third or short the next day, and Luke doesn't throw in balls from right field. So it's about, number one, keeping them out of their own way, because they're super competitive and they want to do everything, and letting them know they have a responsibility to stay healthy, and then us making sure we put them in the right situation. So it hasn't been done a lot. I hope you look back or look here in 3 or 4 years and you're like, oh, you go to A&M, like they're going to have 3, 4, 5, 6 guys that do both, and that's how we're recruiting, and that's what we plan to do, unless one side of the ball, kind of takes off from the other. But to this point, I feel like we've done a good job, training staff, weight coach, pitching coach, all of us, keeping these guys healthy and getting better at each spot.
You talk about, too, the shrinking roster. What's your number at right now? And for guys like Nico and
I don't
Luke,
know.
You don't know.
It's 38, so that's what we'll roll with.
And then for guys like Nico and Luke, just with the rosters trimming down, just how much added value is it for a guy that can pitch and play in the field and hit?
It's a ton of added value if, number one, if they take off and they're really good and they give you 2 to 3 innings on the weekend and then they're hitting in your lineup and playing, it's huge. And it's not just, you don't want just two-way guys, because there's a lot of guys on this team that pitched. All the pitchers will tell you, Coach Earley, I hit in high school. You know what I mean? They got to be like, Nico and Luke are both Power 4 players at A&M on each side of the ball. So they definitely got to have the talent to be able to do that, and it does add value if you can keep them healthy.
You talk about the change in lineups. It could change for tomorrow. It's definitely going to change for the spring. What is the specifics that you're looking in style of play for how they can solidify their spot in the lineup?
Doing the common things uncommonly well. The little things will keep you in the lineup, and the little things can keep you out of the lineup. And there's no set spots, there's no set order. Everything is earned on a day-to-day basis. Now, at some point, guys have equity in the program, they have history, that definitely comes into play. But with how we're going about the fall, it's about how you attack every single day. You did good yesterday. You just showed me you should do good at that. And I'm not talking about getting hits, necessarily things like that. I'm talking about mental things and how you attack practice. That's judged on a day-to-day basis. It's not, it is a standard, and it's not an expectation. It is what it is, and you must live up to that every single day. And it's extremely controllable. And to our guys' credit, they've done an awesome job doing that. But you can't slip, because there's depth specifically in the infield. There's a lot of guys we think can play. So continue to do things right, control what you can control, do the common things uncommonly well, and you will have success in this program.
What is Cliff Pennington added to your coaching staff and then to the instruction of the players? And has this been a kind of a seamless transition for him with his history here?
That the history here is a huge thing. Obviously, he's an Aggie and he wants to be here, and Cliff's level of care is off the charts. So just awesome to be around, awesome baseball guy. But he's really made our team better, because we've just gotten better at things we needed to get better at, and by him doing base running, doing infield defense, it has allowed me to specifically focus on the hitting and offensive part of the game. I'm not juggling around hitting, then defense, then trying to fix our infield defense. That's just, you can't do that. You can't, when you try to do too much, you're not doing anything at all, and you usually just get in the way. So Cliff's ability to be elite at infield defense and base running, and some of the stuff he does on a base running day to day is I haven't seen anything better, right? And it's up to our guys to execute it, but it's not going to be due to a lack of information. Like, he's covered every detail. We've mapped out everything, what we want to install, then we go back and revisit it. But just from a baseball standpoint, Cliff's one of the smartest guys I've ever been around, and he brings a component to offense and hitting too. Like, he's good about, it's great because he's worked with a head coach that's done the hitting, so he's been able to be that guy a little bit beside, along with Coach Longley and other guys on the staff. Everyone helps, but he's been in this role before. You know what I mean? And that's a unique position to be in. And I can't say enough good things about him and what he's done so far, not only from a coaching standpoint, but what he brings on the recruiting trail. Like, it's awesome to have your infield guy that was a successful in college, a first-round draft pick, and played 11 years in the big leagues. Like, if you're an infielder and you want to play, like, that definitely helps in recruiting. So
when is the download from, like, when you're in the cage and when he's in the field, like you're doing in practice? When do y'all have that time to say, hey, I saw this, did you see this? And you have a different set of eyes and a different perspective on the field as well.
At all times. I mean, it's either after practice, on the phone when we're at home, or in first thing in the morning. So we've this year as a staff, we've just been a constant communication and evaluation on everything we need to do, everything we need to get in, just utilizing, I call it the eye in the sky video. You can see everything. So we break that down. We show the guys before practice. We want to show them what they're going to do before we execute it, so you're not out there trying to teach it as much, and then you go out and execute it. So Cliff's, I think the overall attention to detail of what we've done has been at a high level, and Cliff's a big part of that.
With with Sorrell and Keel in particular, just how are you seeing those two guys shake out of where they're possibly going to play in that outfield moving forward?
I have no idea. Who's going to play center, who's going to play right, and they're both going to play both spots moving forward. They're both really good out there. I don't think it's going to be a question of – see, I don't think the question's going to be – because the outfield is different, right? The corner outfield and center field are two different positions. I always found as a player I just didn't like left. It's just how the ball moves off the bat is different. Center, they're both. It's going to really depend on like who's better in right, because they're very equal in center. You know what I mean? Like who. I had a middle infield one year at Arizona State, and they were pretty like equal at short. One guy ended up being a big leaguer, the other guy's still playing, but the one guy was just way better at second, and it made sense. So to me, it's going to be like, who do I feel like is the better right fielder will probably end up how it shakes out, because in center, I mean, it's a coin flip. Like, they're both really, really good.
And then with Moss, are you guys hoping he'll push into the weekend rotation moving into this year?
Weston?
Yeah.
Yeah, Weston. Weston, you know, if Weston takes care of what he's supposed to do and continues to do what he does, there's no doubt he will be somewhere in that weekend rotation. I think he's one of the best pitchers in the country. You make an argument, he definitely has an argument he should have been in there at times last year, like no doubt about it. He just he had the role we had him in, and he did great at it. But if Weston was in the weekend rotation last year, I don't think anyone would have batted an eye at that. So yeah, he's one of those guys we expect to have a really big season, and he's earned it. He's done a really awesome job every year, growing, maturing, getting stronger, and he's made those. You have your typical growth from age, and then you have your growth because you want to be great and you care about your team, and Weston has all of those.
Are there any guys that are not going to play tomorrow or might have a limited role?
Chris won't play. He may play next Friday. That's still up in the air. If he's able to play, he will. But and just outside of your guys like Shane, Stewie, McCoy, guys like that, we had pitcher out with mono. He won't be able to go. But other than that, nothing on the position player side outside of Chris and Elijah Batista, who got injured about a month ago. But for the most part, you'll see everyone out there in some capacity. What that capacity is, I still don't know yet.
Your competitive level, as you compare it to last year and the previous seasons, where do you see the competitive level of this team, especially when they're split and maybe they're one position away from where they'll be when they're playing in the spring?
I think it's at a high level, and when it's not, we force it to be. There's not an option to compete in practice, and if you don't compete in practice, there's winners and losers in everything we do. So you are maybe it's a Tuesday for you, and you've had a long day, a long weekend, you had a test, and you can't find a way to compete. We will find a way for you to compete. So it's been at an extremely high level, and again, we've thrown it at them in a baseball sense, right? Like it's different. You can't. It's not like basketball or football. It's a different sport. But from a baseball standpoint and a little bit beyond, I think we've pushed them about as far as you can push them, and their response has been everything.